Gen Z consumes 20% less alcohol than millennials, and millennials consume 20% less than Gen X.
It's like, I
Imagine
believe
if
it.
you could get all the whales to talk to you and get like a fucking surveillance, like the whales could tell you what Russia's doing.
I deleted Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, all from my phone. This one has a lot of hair. This one has a normal amount of hair. It's Pat and Alex. This one was born in Raytown. This one lives in Raytown. They opened a store in the pandemic, and this is a show about it. Hustle and bustle, hustle and bustle, hustle and bustle. Here is the show.
Shall we?
Well, we shall.
Hello and welcome back to Hustle and Bustle. I'm Pat.
I'm Alex.
It is another lovely week here. It's decidedly December.
Yeah.
We had a warm one last week, stretch a few days.
I feel like it's been the same thing this week.
You don't think, is it not cold outside?
I mean, it's cold now, but it gets warm in the afternoon.
Maybe it's just my heart that's starting to freeze over.
Can I don't like how we always start with the weather.
Is that what we're doing? Is that what I do?
Oh, I do it too.
Oh, wow. Feels natural.
Maybe.
Should we do traffic instead?
Traffic was nice in my...
I mean, Murray used to yell at me towards the end of RPR about starting with traffic. Or just wanting to talk about traffic.
What the fuck? Why would you talk about traffic?
I don't know. I was just getting annoyed with traffic at that time in my life, I suppose.
That's
hasn't
fair.
bothered me so much lately, I feel. There was some construction on Nolan Road there for a minute.
So recently, Caroline's car, she got into a wreck, and then now she's got a new car, and she had to take it to a shop. So she was driving my minivan, and I was driving our delivery truck, which I normally don't mind.
That thing's huge, dude.
Yeah, dude. Every once in a while.
How big is that? Do you know the...
It's like one of those. It's
like a
food
Wonder
truck.
Bed truck.
Yeah, it's like
the size of a food truck.
Old bread truck. But yeah, so you don't account for, like, it just exhausts you if you're in it for more than an hour because there's no creature comforts. There's no like nice suspension. It's loud.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like yesterday, I just needed to go to hardware store and then pet store to get Ella food.
Yeah, that's not something you want to do in a truck like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're not wrong.
You also don't want to go through Winnie's drive-thru in that thing.
You can't go through some drive-thrus. I have found out the hard way.
Can you clear the Independence Avenue Bridge?
I don't want to find out.
Okay.
I've yet to actually measure the truck, but I do know that there is a unnamed fast food joint in the KC metro area that I'm scared to return to because I may or may not have hit one of the light fixtures above the drive-thru.
Okay, great. Well, unnamed it shall remain.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, went to the fucking hardware store to get pipe, and their pipe cutter was broken, so I had to drive across another 20 minutes to go to the other hardware store that had a working pipe cutter. Then went to the dog store that was close to that hardware store. They didn't have the food I needed, so I had to drive back to the area where I just was to the pet store to get... It was anyway. This is a lame intro.
That's tonight. No, this is great. This is real life. Hey, Caroline had her first yoga class.
Oh, yeah.
How'd that go? That's a big moment.
It was really, really good. She got a lot of positive feedback, and I think she's going to be a really good yoga teacher. So she
seems like, she would be.
Yeah. She's been doing this like weekend classes for the last 3 months for like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so she has to teach like 2 free karma classes, and then she gets her certification and stuff. And so this was her first class, and it was good. There were like 8 of us there. There were 2 people that were supposed to be there, but they no-showed. Later, I can't remember why.
Let's find him and kill him.
Yeah, I was pretty upset. Well, I actually had
let's talk about how you went to the wrong building.
I had no room to talk. So the day before, Caroline was telling me about how taboo it is to show up late to a yoga practice because they can't wait for you. And normally, sometimes they start with meditations. And so you walk in the door while everyone's like trying to relax. Yeah. And you just look like an ass. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll never be that guy. So it's her first class. And in my head, I'm like, can't be late. I leave, I think, plenty early enough. And I do. Find parking. I'm a whiz. And then I burst into the studio with the confidence.
Were you in the bread truck?
No.
Okay, God. That's good.
Yeah, thank God. No, I wasn't going to try and find parking in that bitch. But burst into the room, excited, getting ready to like experience her first class, and I'm at the wrong location.
Yeah.
And I burst into an already ongoing class.
Yeah.
Like an asshole. So then I have to like sheepishly like apologize and then drive 15 minutes to where Caroline's actually.
Fuck, you were 15 minutes away?
Yeah, I was 10 minutes late.
Oh my God, dude.
So I had to drive it to like Lakewood to the studio she was practicing at and be that person to walk in 10 minutes late. It was rough.
God, that's hilarious. That is rough. Because
But-
you were trying real hard to not be
I really was.
late. Yeah, you did. You tried hard. You just didn't get the right address. That shit happens. Let's talk about some announcements.
Yep.
Shit's moving in the garage a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak too soon, but it sounds like there might be some construction in a certain room
People tell me this.
that we've been needing construction in.
Yeah.
I'm not saying before the end of the year, but soon. There might soon be movement in that.
And we'll
Space.
let you know when it happens. Believe us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's quite a few things. The ceiling's getting worked on.
Yes, it is.
And I'm gonna have to like make a public announcement to see if anybody has some old used CDs.
We
and
need
DVDs.
CDs, laser discs. If you know where we can get laser discs,
That'd be cool.
we are willing to pay for laser discs. We're willing to pay a little bit for CDs, but you don't listen to them. I was kind of interested. I was at this estate sale, and like this guy had a mess of CDs. I mean, it was literally a pallet of fucking CDs, and they were like CD-ROM shit. Like they were hardware, software, like things that are literally not usable now. We're not talking. This wasn't like nostalgic songs or music. This wasn't nostalgic CDs of like popular music. These weren't video games. This wasn't shit you could use now. This was shit like you would only use on Windows 98.
Yeah.
And he was offended by me what I offered him, which I thought I was doing him a favor.
Yeah. These take up a lot of space, and they look like they're collecting a lot of dust.
Yeah. Well, we'd like them to take some space and collect some dust on our ceiling. So we need some CDs if you got a bunch.
How much is an annual subscription to Spotify?
I don't know. It's probably like $10 a month, $120.
If you have enough CDs, I'll buy you an annual subscription
to Spotify.
If you like, if you have a
If you solve our CD problem, you come in here and you drop. How many CDs do you think we need?
Oh, we need a few thousand.
That's what we're in the market for. So CDs, laser discs, we need fewer, but those are fucking dope. So bring those in.
CDs, DVDs, those things.
So we're doing a lot of shit in the garage. The bookshelf.
Yeah, had to do a little update. When you DIY a whole store, sometimes they need annual repairs.
Yeah.
So that's what we were doing. It was just books are heavy, and the shelves were starting to sag a little bit, so we had to take all the books off. I added probably like 20 or so extra bracings, and shook it around real hard. It seems sturdier.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good test.
Actually, I have to wait. I ran out of like brackets, so they should be coming in today, and I have to wait 2 days to finish it. But yeah, so bookshelf will be updated. VHS rack got another shelf.
Got another shelf, so that we should need to fill her up.
Yeah.
I need some more to finish the movie corner that we're decorating there, but I'll get there. And then living room update. So we have Alex has built this awesome rack, an L-shaped rack around the couch in the living room. So where like the little table used to be with our jewelry is now a shelf, or a rack with a shelf. And that's where we talked about, I think last week, we're going to drop our high-end, more vintage stuff.
Yeah.
And create a little high-end section.
So like if you're really in the lookings for some nice stuff, we'll curate it a little bit for you. Not to say that everything else in the store isn't dope as hell. It's just maybe everyday outfits instead of going to a concert or an event outfit.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're still going to be a curated thrift store with really great prices, and people continuously walk in here and walk out and have a reaction to our prices that are positive because they're super affordable. And thrift is getting inflated as shit. Like I just shared a story that got a little bit of engagement. It was Oldish Duds going and like just talking about how whack some prices are at some thrift stores right now because it is bananas.
Yeah.
And I think that inflated thrift is that bubble's gonna burst. And I think it feels like it is starting to burst.
Yeah.
The kid who's coming in here and Martin City Thrift is the guy who's going to be selling some stuff on consignment. If you see something with a Pokemon tag on our racks, that's him. He's suggesting that that's already happening. I guess some red racks around town, they have always had like, or lately the last few years, they've had a vintage section where they tag it vintage and then they keep it there, and that's supposed to be their high-end stuff. And apparently they're kind of taking those down and just putting that stuff back on the racks.
That makes a lot of sense, because that section was always so poorly curated that...
Which is so interesting because like we pull, I mean, 80 to 90% of our stuff it's getting less and less that way, but 80-90% of our stuff comes from what red racks can't fucking process, and they throw out for you buying it on the pound.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's not like they don't have access to better stuff, but you're right, their vintage sections were often so hard to keep of valuable, which is why we went thrift.
Yeah.
Because it is hard to do without charging an arm and a leg, because you got to pay more to get it.
Yeah. I'm excited. I mean, I think that in the next 6 to 8 months, we'll be diversified enough that we'll be able to ride whatever wave the used clothing market
totally
hits. So I'm all for change and having to pivot and get creative. I think it is oversaturated. So, like as a free market, scratch the right wing side of me. It would be cool to see like what comes of it in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Where's the clothing and streetwear market in KC in the next 12 months, as all these people who started, I think we're at the tail end of everyone's COVID businesses dying.
Right.
And unless you've figured out to turn a profit from those in a way that makes sense to you in terms of time, then
we're still in a gig economy though. So there's still people looking to supplement their gigs because
but it's not,
far few people have that one job that gives them their health insurance.
It's not like heavily impacted by everyone having to stay at home and having a little bit of extra cash.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of businesses were spurred out of that, and they used that influx of like sales to build other big things. I don't know. It'll
be interesting to see where, I mean, look, poker, I don't know why this is the analogy that's in my head, but when like 2003, 2004, poker went huge. It was like the 2003 World Series of Poker. It's the first one, they say, where you could see the people's cards like while you're watching TV, so you could kind of play the hand with them. And that was what changed it. It was Chris Moneymaker. I think it was the 2003 World Series of Poker. Anyways, there was a giant poker boom. Then there was poker in every fucking bar. Like it overtook trivia nights. It kicked out karaoke nights. It took over everything. And it was lasted, I don't know, say 3, 4, 5 years. Everybody had poker chips. There was like a whole market and a niche market for it. And then it settled. There are still bars with poker nights. There's still the World Series of Poker. There's still a real business of poker. It just went whoop. And then it came down. I don't think it's still bigger than it was probably pre-2003. I've got to say it definitely is. But it's not as big as it was in 2003, and it probably never will be.
True.
Indoor soccer has a similar thing. I just think thrift will probably be, it's probably cyclical, right? Like, it's like baseball cards to some degree. So it'll go down, but thrift is always there.
Yeah.
People have thrifted forever. And when people are poor, and there's still a stratification of wealth in this country, so there's going to be people who need cheaper clothing. It just so happens that rich people and poor people value secondhand clothing right now a lot.
Yeah. I remember there were years where we did a lot, probably like 50 to 60% of our shopping as savers. And then there were years where like we went to Kohl's and Target more.
Totally.
So that makes, a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where we settle in all that. And there will always be a space. And I think we can capitalize on the fact that some people may be getting out of it, right? If it becomes hard, it's like, imagine.
It does become a little bit of who can last longest at that point.
Yeah, if you're like barely making your nut or barely taking home a paycheck that you're happy with now running a used clothing business, and then it gets harder.
Yeah.
And it's already hard, and it gets harder. It could be just the nudge you need to quit.
Yeah.
So it could narrow the field a little bit. We'll see. All right, let's go to, Midnight Madness was the other thing, February 3rd. It's coming up. It's getting fucking closer and closer, under the 2-month window. So make sure that is circled, squared, and astracized. Is that how you astracized? That thing that makes sense on your calendar. It's going to be so dope. We've got the Royal Chief performing. We have Circle Drive performing. We have Fight Dream performing. 3 completely different acts.
Yeah.
So we got something for you no matter what kind of live music you enjoy. We're going to have so many dope vendors there, badass rugby, and of course beer and full bar. So it's going to be great. Speaking of beer, and around the water cooler, something that we heard on a podcast, this is a statistic that you thought was notable. Gen Z consumes 20% less alcohol than millennials, and millennials consume 20% less than Gen X, which means I'm millennial. So my generation consumes 20% less than like people in their 50s, or mid 40s to early 50s, and people your age consume 20% less alcohol than people my age.
Yeah, that's a.
So you guys consume 40% less alcohol than people in their 40s and 50s.
Anecdotally, I feel like I would agree with that.
100%. I feel like I've been saying it.
Yeah.
I feel like
we touched.
there's
on
another thing that I heard on Prop G on my way in today about Peter Attia saying, or what's his name? Is it Attia? He's like one of the big wellness dudes. He's like with Andrew Huberman.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if I
he's like a big doctor guy. Anyway, he said he thinks we're all addicts. He says we're all addicts at some level. That's his positioning, which is mine, and I felt fucking unique, but unique in a bad way, like in a you're an addict shameful way, because like I'm telling everyone, I think everyone's an addict. So there's like, well, he's just looking for an excuse for him to feel better because he's an addict. I think we all are at some fucking level addicts. And anyways, this super doctor, smart wellness expert guy also said that.
Well, I mean,
I feel like I've been saying this one for a while, the alcohol thing. You guys definitely, but you guys consume weed at a much higher level than my generation, and my generation, I would say, more than the one before it. But Prof G had statistics that suggested that, what's the one below millennials? You're Gen Z.
Gen Z. Yeah.
The Gen Z consumes less other drugs, and that doesn't add up to my anecdotal experience.
Yeah, I don't know. The only way I could think that would be true if there's a higher concentration of usage, and so it's more in the news, and given like fentanyl and stuff.
I guess maybe opiates, if you could, and I guess if you count opiates for my generation, then that maybe could be the difference.
Yeah.
I feel like that was my generation. They got knocked over by opiates pretty hard.
Because I'm probably the oldest Gen Z you're gonna find, but I feel like the sentiment is like a danger, Everyone's just kind of more aware of like you can die.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the whole fentanyl thing between fentanyl and opiates.
Like
that's been like two back-to-back waves. I guess they are opiates.
Between 19 and 22, like I don't think I would have. I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting. It's an interesting statistic.
Yeah.
I agree. We're all addicts. Like if you want to get Joe Rogan about it, every animal is like a squirrel isn't thinking like dreaming about his wife. He's probably like nut, right? And then, like tree. Like he's constantly chasing that dopamine hit that the body feeds him whenever he does his instinctual, activity.
Right.
And then only now do we get to like sit and ponder shit.
We've just as humans engineered like nut factories to where we can just sit around. Like you have to choose what kind of nut we can get.
Click a button. Yeah, exactly. So it's. Yeah, that's a good way to frame it. Like if you already know, like here, I'll speak on this a little bit. I deleted Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, all from my phone.
Nice. So you're just using that shit here at the shop.
Yeah, I just keep it on the studio phone.
Well, you're fucking here long enough that like it makes sense.
That's what I justified to myself.
Yeah.
And it's great because that phone doesn't have cellular data. So if you're not on Wi-Fi, it doesn't work. So I can't like take it out with me. So whenever I'm out anywhere, can't access any of that stuff.
That's awesome, dude. I'm fucking envious.
The last 3 days have made it harder to post stuff. I've had to
So only 3 days you're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that long. And but like it reconfirmed because I re-downloaded YouTube to get ready to upload some podcasts, and 30 minutes later I was on Reels.
Were you really?
Insane.
Yeah.
Like I'm scared to look at the statistics of my screen time the last month because they're gross probably.
Yeah.
But it feels good.
Good, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fucking A. You don't have any control. I don't. I'm on them all the time.
Yeah, I think it's so fucking hard. That's the trick. We talked about this the other day. Just corporations have gotten so good at engineering, like figuring us out as humans. Yeah. Like the amount of data that they can consume and analyze and go through, and it's only about to if we think we've been on a fast river of this happening, it's
worst-
about to go over a fucking cliff, right?
The
With
worst
AI.
it'll ever be right now. Yeah.
Or the best it'll ever be.
There's the worst it'll ever be right now.
Oh, yes, I see. Yes, the function of it is the worst it'll ever
It'll
be.
be better tomorrow. Like if you walk into an AA meeting and you were like a
Like
new
fucking
addict.
the Hy-Vee self-checkout.
Yeah. If you walk up to a bunch of old addicts like in an AA meeting and say, well, my strategy is like keep a bunch of beer in the fridge to remind myself, they'd all be like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why? You just get it out of the house.
Yeah, you can't be. It shouldn't.
You don't
be there.
keep it on your phone.
Yeah.
You just take it off. So
Yeah.
like, it was like, duh, I can't. It's nice. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Good luck, man.
We'll
Good luck.
update
Scientists. This is something I found. Scientists are figuring out whale language. And I'm now remembering why I was just fascinated by this. But what if, what if animals are having meaningful, substantive conversations? What if they know things we don't know?
Dude, I remember watching a National Geographic on elephants when I was like 10.
Yeah.
And they talked about how like there was like they were talking and they like send vibrations like whales through the earth at frequencies that like we can't hear.
Yeah.
And they seem to like be able to communicate over miles of like storms. It's like I
Imagine
believe
if
it.
you could get all the whales to talk to you and get like a fucking surveillance, like the whales could tell you what Russia's doing.
I feel like the people try to do that with dolphins.
Russia did it with dolphins. They trained some dolphins to go out and do some shit. It was wild.
Like that's
Yeah. It's fucking creepy.
I believe the average person probably thinks animals are stupid.
Well, that's like how that movie probably came about, where the one where like the sharks attack everyone, and it's not Sharknado. It was before that. It's got Samuel L. Jackson in it, and it's like the military was trying to train sharks and use them as like militarized weapons. But
Austin Powers shit. Sharks with lasers.
do people think of that and then start trying to make it happen and then it becomes a movie? Or does someone make a movie about it and then someone in the military is like, oh yeah, fuck it, that would be awesome, let's try it?
They
Like, what's the
walk up to
progression?
and walk into a lab and like, I watched this movie.
Yeah.
I need it.
We gotta do it. Guys, flubber. This is how we're gonna win the war. Flubber. Hunks that move junks lawsuit. You're gonna have to tell me about this.
Yeah. So I don't know how this will sound. I'm a self-proclaimed ageist. Because I like Prof G says, God, I quote him too much now.
Yeah.
Biology is an ageist.
Yeah.
And I believe it. And so I look down whenever some companies make decisions about their business in regards to the age of their employees. So anyway, it was a moving company called, it was pretty funny.
It's not Hunks who move junks.
No, it was like,
it's just a company like that. So that was probably pretty stupid to use them as the outline point.
Meathead Movers.
Meathead movers.
So it's just a bunch of chiseled like college dudes home from the summer.
Love it.
Moving stuff. And like there's probably a couple iterations in whatever city you're in that has this business model.
Yep. Sometimes they get an OnlyFans and go on, Squid Game the challenge.
Exactly. But anyway, so in California, the feds, I don't know what department is in charge of regulating this, but is filing a lawsuit against them for age discrimination. And that just sounds incredibly stupid.
Because was there an old guy who wanted to do it and they wouldn't let him?
So that's I can only assume that there was a complaint, and maybe it wasn't like it was probably like some 45-year-old dude or 30-year-old dude, like not a young hunk,
Yeah.
just a big heavy
First
guy.
off,
who can move
who's
stuff.
over the age of 30 and wants to be moving shit for a
I don't
living?
know. I didn't. It's a Wall Street Journal article, and I can only read the first 3 paragraphs, so don't understand actually how it came about. I just know it's happening.
Okay.
So
you have a strong opinion through those 3 sentences you've decided?
yeah, I just I think we should discriminate upon age.
What do you mean?
Like I mean, Congress. There's so many fucking old people.
Yeah, I think you should be able to discriminate on age.
If you're like in a moving
Can
company,
you not? I think we do. I mean, isn't that what
Clearly
laws
not.
are? We do with 18. You had to be 18 to smoke, or now it's 21. You had to be 21 to drink.
Yeah, but
You
old
had to be
people.
25 to at 25. You can get cheaper rates on rental cars, or people can deny you rental cars. Bars can set their number wherever they want.
Up until 300 years ago, you were dead by 60. Society wasn't built to be run by 70-plus-year-olds, and they get off the hook for shit that they just shouldn't be allowed to do. Like there should be an age limit on driving, 100%. There should be an age limit on moving. Like you can't be 80.
I think there
and be
is.
used-
I think there are parameters. Like once you hit a certain age, I think you have to test. Eye test every year or something. You have to test more often to keep your driver's
Well, just like
license.
you don't see any 12-year-olds driving, that law needs to be enforced a little bit harder then. I don't know. That's just...
That's true. I mean, you don't really see 12-year-olds driving. I did. One time, me and Chad Van Bibber, we took his riding lawnmower out, and we tried to use it as like a car
Like on
for
the
one
road?
summer. Yeah, but my mom when she found out, she got mad.
What
putting
city?
into it.
You can do that in some places.
We do it in Raytown.
Oh, yeah, that's probably doable.
Yeah.
I got a cousins who live in Eudora, Kansas.
Yeah.
And, you can do pretty much whatever you want there too.
Yeah, yeehaw.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Well, look, I agree that age gating things make sense, including for old people. But like old people still have a lot of value. It's just like, are you healthy?
Yeah. But yeah.
We can't sweep all old people away and determine that we're not going to use you anymore because too many of you are unhealthy.
Part
you
of
just
this
got to
is
have the healthy ones.
I'm recording this so that when I'm 80 years old trying to do shit that I shouldn't be doing, someone can just show this to me and be like, oh, yeah, I'm out of my element. I'm too old to be doing whatever I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Let me go do old people shit.
There's a lot of young people who die and do reckless shit on the road. I would love to know what that statistic is. So if your argument is that people like what percentage of at fault road deaths, okay? What's the age? How does that break out by age? That's what we want to know. Because if your argument is that old people shouldn't be on the road because they're dangerous, then show me that young people aren't more dangerous.
Yeah, well, okay. That's not true. That's fair. That's fair. But what's the consequence of old people regulating social media? If there were... Now, that's probably a bad example. I don't know. Let's move on.
No, that's a great example. That's a perfect example. Social media is wrecking our society right now. And it is largely because people don't understand it and have been slow to understand it. And I think that's a perfect example.
But I think it's a little 20/20 hindsight. I don't think any of us really understood it 10 years ago either. And there were a few maybe.
Yeah. And maybe it's not an age thing, but it is a problem that we're not doing anything about it. Anyways, are the Chiefs broken?
Ooh.
8-5. Pat Mahomes threw a temper tantrum. How did you react to the temper tantrum?
Yeah, that was a little cringy.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
I get it, dude.
We've all been there.
I've been there, yeah.
We've both been there, and there are receipts.
Yeah. And so I'm not one to judge, but I'm certainly not one to also accept that behavior.
I didn't want it from our infallible leader.
Yeah. For some reason I keep putting him on a pedestal, but it seems like
It's like 25.
Yeah.
You got to remember that.
Dude, Tony's like what, 23 or 24?
Yeah, he's young.
So I forget that shit. I always consider these people grown ass men, and I'm now older than them, which makes me wildly uncomfortable. Some of them.
That is
not all of
weird.
them.
It gets to be weird.
Yeah. So I guess you got to factor all that in, but I'm a little also taken aback by Andy Reid's.
Well, how about the play? All right. It was basically a rugby play.
Oh, it was cool as shit.
Was it designed? Did it look designed to you? It looked designed to me. Because as soon as Kelsey got the ball, Tony starts backing up and shaping up to catch a pass. He doesn't look for a block. He starts to get into a passing lane.
I listened to the New Heights podcast, and he said it was completely on the fly. Was 0%.
Isn't that what you'd fucking say, though, if it was designed and it got scrapped? And this isn't the first time Kelsey has passed after catching a pass or being passed.
That's true. Okay, saying that, he also
said... I think it's in his sack.
He said, this will be one of the few... I'm not going to be doing it a whole lot going forward, because what if that gotten tipped? And then they go back. But
also what you'd say if you were going to do it again tomorrow.
True. But yeah, I actually got in trouble with that play. So we were watching it at Up Down.
That's a cool place, I bet, to watch it.
No, actually, terrible place to watch the game.
Oh.
They only had it on two of the multi-screen TVs, and they were all slightly at different times. Fucking awful to watch a football game.
All right.
But anyway.
But you could play NFL Blitz there, and that was
but with every timeout and halftime, we played a bunch of video games. So that was actually fun. But anyway, that play, I... Was you could buy a 6-pack of Tall Boys and a bunch of tokens for $20, so I did that. That's at the end of the game, so I was really emotional, invested, and I stood up and was like, no, when he went to make the pass, and then when he made it, I was like, yeah, and then when they flew the flag, I was like, no, but so was the whole bar. But yeah, I got kind of yelled at because it was crazy.
Because you were too emotional.
I was a little too loud.
Oh,
according
got
to
it. Well, then that's definitely a bad place to watch a Chiefs game. If you can be too loud there.
Watch that shit live.
If you can be
try
too
not
loud
to
there,
scream.
it's on the place, not on you. How it's going. First winter, I feel like this is the first winter since our first one, because I think we got the keys here in like December. So since we've been open, this is the first winter that I feel like we have a chance to play some offense.
Yeah.
That like we're doing shit in the garage. We are pushing to make sales. We're investing still money. We just built a new rack and we're investing money to make money. And we've been in a very defensive position the last 2 winters. Mm-hmm. That's how's it going? It feels like that's a way that it might be going.
I'd say that's like a testament to just time. Like I think we are 5%, 10% more confident just going into this, year round. Kind of like you don't notice your siblings growing taller until one day they're a foot taller.
Yeah, until like their voice drops.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like we've been kind of like incrementally growing a centimeter, and like now we understand how to post on social media, and we're getting better at how to create it in a timely fashion, and we can see the effects of our work. I don't know. I think it's just the buildup of incremental confidence builds.
Yeah.
That, like now we are a little less ignorant.
Yeah. And I think we have some balls to shoot, on the rack over here to play a little offense. The trick is I think we need to make some shots though, right? Like that's the thing. Is if we're going to shoot them, we got to make them.
It's now that we're, I think, a little bit more confident, the expectation is, we hit the ball a little more. So.
Yeah. So we got to deliver on that. But no, I think that's an exciting thing. So I think how it's going, we've often kind of maybe been perceived as gloom or negative, but things are going. Like I got asked a lot when I went to Houston, how the business is going by a number of coworkers who I, telecommute with. And I think I got my elevator pitch down to like, because people consume this stuff, it may be only 30 views of the full thing on YouTube, but the reels get a significant amount of people, right? Those get thousands often. And so people have seen me talk about how hard it is. And so I now can tell who has when they ask me that question, or at least I think I can.
Yeah.
Anyways, like it is hard, but things are going in the right direction, but it is fucking hard.
Yeah, it's also, I'm making this like connection now of, I'm like, it would be weird. I'd be uncomfortable if it weren't hard, I feel like we were probably not doing it correctly, or going too easy, or I don't know. I have a historical now connection of in college when I won a national championship. If you just work really hard for 4 years and lose, then eventually, like you'll get what you're striving for. And it makes all of the losing in a brighter light.
Right.
And now I know that like if you just dive in, and if you're in the middle of those 4 years, I know what the end feels like. So I can kind of prematurely inject a little bit of that. Yeah.
But if you never got that end, it would be so much harder to subject yourself to all the middle.
Like 100%, if we didn't win that national championship my senior year, I would have a very different opinion probably about my rugby career there. Yeah. I'd probably pick, I'd highlight darker and angrier moments, and I would forget about the brighter moments. But like I know, so it's all like frame of mind. And so I can imagine if you've never had that educated experience, when you're in the middle of those 4 years, it just feels like a consistent trajectory downward of despair and just like hard times.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I get to, it's weird. You can feel that and know that like it's going to be this. So it makes it a little better.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Sometimes I can be like, I've had like a week of life being way too hard, but it feels good still.
Yeah.
It'd be weird if like I woke up and everything was okay.
It's if you've trusted the process and gotten reassurance from that trust, it's easier to trust the process.
Yeah.
I think because
that's a good summation.
The way I can reduce it the most. Ryan Koberstein is leaving us. I don't know if we've talked about that on the air.
I don't think so.
But he is moving to Milwaukee. He is one of our original partners. He's a good buddy. Speaking of guys who won national championships, he was on that team with you.
Yeah.
He moved here right as COVID struck. Did COVID happen as he was moving here, or when he was, or like before? Did he get here before COVID?
No, yeah. So we moved here September.
Okay.
And then I left December, and then when I came back in January, March is when it started to So we were there for a good 5-6 months before COVID hit.
Okay. So he moved in just before COVID.
Yeah.
From Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's moving back to Milwaukee to be a little closer to family and stuff. So happy for him, you know, as someone whose folks aren't getting any younger and family's not getting any younger, being close to them is something that's definitely been a huge decision maker for me and Jen.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say it's a big part of the reason why I'm in Blue Springs. But he's leaving us, and that's sad. So he, you know, when we first started, the only video we could create was Ryan. That was because Ryan was the only one who could do anything.
Yeah.
So any of the early stuff like the Raytown, Graytown, that was all Ryan.
This is all pre-TikTok.
Right.
Well, I guess, like, TikTok, I think it existed, but it was, like, still weird music.
Yeah.
Lip syncing. That was it.
Yeah.
It was still TikTok, like, music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there was no... You had to have someone who knew how to use, like, Final Cut and edit videos and stuff.
So he did all of our early stuff and showed us how to do everything. He also, like everybody, all the partners, if you come into the living room behind the TV, like that's all of our childhood photos. So his are up there. I'm trying to think of other ways people might know Ryan, but like, you know, I mean, he's worked the shop. You've seen him at events and stuff. But we're losing him, and it's kind of a sad day that one of our partners is leaving. I mean, he's not dying.
Yeah.
He's still going to be around. We'll still be friends.
He'll be back in February.
But he's going to live in Wisconsin now.
Yeah. I keep thinking, when you say Wisconsin, it's like, what, 2 hours from Chicago still?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours from Chicago. Yeah, I think his sister lives up there. But that's just we've known it for months, but it's just getting close. So like tonight we're gonna go have a guys' night and hang out, and we're having a going away party pretty soon. So just sad days. So we love you, Ryan. Gnarly Hussle wouldn't be the same without you. And please come and visit us often.
Yes.
A lot of break-ins around here lately.
Yeah.
So you knew we got shown one yesterday. I guess someone tried to break into the Raytown Water Company, and then when they couldn't break in, tried to light it on fire.
Yeah. Oh no, not the water company. The car.
Oh yeah, it was the car wash. So the same people that own the Raytown Water Company also own the car wash, and that's where he offices out of. So we tried to break into the office there. When he couldn't get in, he tried to light it on fire.
Yeah.
And then she put up a bunch of signs with his picture saying, you know, wanted, this is what this person did. And then the next morning they were taken all down. And they have him on camera doing it. So it's kind of a thing.
So we have Blue Steel.
Which was, that's less than a year ago, right?
The barber shop was another.
The barber shit just happened like a week or two ago, and that was all over Raytown Unleashed. They broke in and stole an ATM machine.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. But there was like 2 trucks involved. They were taking laps. It took them like 45 minutes. They're doing a lot of surveilling, waiting for traffic to be right. They busted just one window, went right to the spot, got it out. Apparently they haven't caught them and sounds like they're not going to catch them, was the sentiment of the people giving me the update. So that fucking blows. So Blue Steel, I don't know if they caught them. I guess we could find that out.
I haven't.
I got an insider there.
I looked a while back, and I don't think they did.
Well, that's fucking not reassuring.
But that might be hearsay. I might be wrong. So we got Blue Steel, the barbershop. Well, first let me preface: open a business in Raytown. It's safe here. We'll protect you. All of Kansas City and the world, you know, has
this happens.
Places
Yeah,
that gets broken into. You know, so you know, just with that,
we've never been broken into.
Yeah, well, that's my final point. So we've got Blue Steel, the barbershop. I believe the water company, when we first moved in, maybe it wasn't a break-in, but had some property damage.
Okay. I don't count that.
Okay. What did you... And then... the fucking...
I think the discount shop up here has been robbed a few times.
Yeah. I know Family Dollar has. The car wash.
Yeah. But that's it.
But we have nice things. At this point... I almost feel a little offended.
That we haven't been...
Like I'm the ugly kid on the playground.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, I don't know what to say. Well, I mean, we don't have that much cash flow. So it's probably... Don't rob us. Please don't rob us. We don't have that much money on hand. That's for sure. It won't be worth... The juice won't be worth the squeeze.
Yeah, higher ROIs.
Yeah. One of two things is going to happen. We're either going to panic and you're going to be upset that you didn't get a lot of money, or we're going to like Hulk out and be a real problem for you, and you're going to be upset you didn't get a lot of money.
Oh, if I'm here... Oh, yeah. No, that is probably not worth it for you at all. But even if nobody's here, it's still probably not worth it.
Well, it's good that like Keenan basically lives here, and then Colson lives in the parking
people
lot.
who live
So
in
like,
back.
there's always people around.
Yeah.
You're never alone in Gnarly Hustle, and we got cameras, and so
But yeah, it's interesting.
the Second Amendment applies to us too. So. But it's a little crazy. I don't know if crime's on the up. I just read somewhere that crime was allegedly on the down overall over the last year, which makes me so happy that like the post-COVID crime wave was starting to come down. But if desperation, like we have been talking about, and like the cost of goods, even though inflation may be technically down, the cost of goods for people isn't down, and people are getting poorer and I think a little bit more desperate. Homelessness still seems to be on the rise. So there's reason to believe that I think that like crime will continue to be a problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
And I don't think that the longer we're open, we're not going to be able to continue to say that people haven't tried to rob us.
We're definitely on borrowed
So
time.
it's time to build a moat, get a pet alligator or two,
Definitely too.
a hippo. A hippo would be awesome if we had hungry hippos. If Gnarly Hustle was protected by hungry hippos, that's how I know that's the new level of success. So that's it. Once we've hit,
I don't know if that's a
we have security attack hippos. I'll know that we've. Then we're like Escobar. Escobar
That's
had attack
Narcos
hippos.
level
Yeah.
of success.
That's my new mountaintop. I want to be the Pablo Escobar of used clothing. That our empire is protected by hungry hippos,
Oh fuck,
and we'll pump them full of cocaine.
dude! That's a
Dude, don't go to Raytown. They got attacked
They
coke
got
hippos.
cocaine bear, cocaine hippos.
That would be awesome. Sequel. All right. Well, coming to theaters soon near you. Come buy our clothes and other things for Christmas. There's still like what's our gift? No one's buying gift cards, but they can, and it's a discount.
Yeah,
if they mention that ad. Like however many days it is from Christmas, that's how many % you get off. If you just say that you watch this podcast. So come do that.
I'll even put it in the beginning of the podcast,
Yeah.
not at the end, because I don't know of what 30 people make it to the end, but I know some of you are at least in the beginning.
If you made it to the end, you get 50%
Yeah,
off.
if you're listening to this right now, fucking hell.
If you come in and say, Pat said you get 50%, then fucking come in and do it. So that means it's a gift card. You come in, you get a $50 gift card for $25. That's $25 free dollars you can give to someone else. So you don't even have to like our stuff. You could just give it to someone else. Like, holy shit, they spent $50 on me. Especially if the limit's under that. How good will you look?
Yeah, you'll look super rich and nice.
And we'll know that you listen to the show. So
Yeah.
do that. Merry Christmas.
Peace. We should have a name for it. Colin and Samir podcast to listen to. They call like the last 15 minutes of their podcast the deep end.